Hey everyone, welcome to our podcast, Niente Talks, with myself, Hatz, and my wonderful co-host, Anahi.
Thank you, Hatz. In this podcast, we're going to be tackling different topics and discussing them from a variety of perspectives, talking about successes and failures in life, relationship, career, family, etc. And we really welcome you to join the conversation, subscribe, like, share, and just be part of this.
Yeah, so we look forward to you joining us on our journey, exploring life's trials and tribulations from our own personal perspectives.
What's so bad about being a little bit pinkish? Like the undertone.
I like it medium, I'm not gonna lie. I like my meat medium, nice and pink.
Are we talking meat or are we talking women?
No.
Because I got a little bit confused there.
Well, if I like my women half cooked, that's a bit strange.
And here he comes. Okay, so hi everybody. While my co-host Hattin sorts out his Dropbox.
Call me Hatz.
Hatz with a Z, because that's how cool we are. You know my last name ends with the Z too, Ortiz.
Is it?
Yeah. Okay, anyway, so my name is Anahi and I am a wellness coach and I call myself the Selfworth coach, and I'm also a trained chef and I do a lot of things, but I'm joining Hatz, who is also a coach, just he's a swimming coach.
Swimming coach, yeah.
Football coach, no?
Football coach as a sort of a hobby thing, but like by qualification, I'm a professional coach.
There we go.
Swim coach.
So you have two professional coaches in totally unrelated
fields coming from two different angles, yeah.
And two different everything. I mean, you are British with an Egyptian background. I'm Venezuelan, Argentinian. And here we are in Gen 80s. And what is it?
We were both born in the 80s.
Yes, we are both born in the 80s. You
on
can
the
calculate.
same year.
So this is how it
There's
all
no
starts.
secrets. There's no secrets.
There's no secrets.
1985.
Both of us. But this is the funny thing is that basically he got me into this podcast idea. And I thought it was really interesting because I knew he was very smart, which you are.
Thank
and
you.
then we talk about birth dates because I was trying to figure out how old you were.
Yep.
And then it was you are 30 March, so you're 303 1885.
3003.
Yeah.
1985. Not
1985. That's
1885 would make me
very old.
Like
135.
135.
Almost. Anyway.
Why not?
And I am 3008 1985 because I'm from August. So we thought that it was really interesting that we are not just from 85, but we have so many common things. And then our phone numbers were also similar. There's a lot of I promise we are not Scientologists or anything like that. But anyway, what we want to talk about is a little bit of what we're going through and some of the heartache, some of the good things. We want to talk about relationships. We want to talk about purpose.
Yep.
We want to talk about how we're navigating life, because also both of us come from different backgrounds, but we both coincide in many things.
Ways, yeah. In Doha, in the middle of the Middle East, in the middle of the world, and also doing our thing at the same time on the side. So it's...
What are you doing on the side?
I do a lot of stuff on the side. So not only am I an engineer by day, I run a swimming program, I manage a football team, and now I'm doing a podcast. And I think doing a podcast is probably, I'm stepping out of the box. I don't normally put myself in front of camera or on the mic, but I think it's a great way to reach out to people who are far away in your life, but also reaching out to people generally, because there are so many people that you don't get a chance to spend time with, to talk to share your experiences, update them with things that are going on in your life. I think a podcast is a great way to reach people, yeah. So anyway, doing lots of things, trying to stay busy.
Not trying, you are succeeding at that. You are actually one of the busiest people I know.
No, not as busy as you, come on.
So basically, my life is, I am a mom of 2 little boys. I have my own business. I am a coach. So that's kind of what I do. I'm also building a whole thing online because I want to reach more people, more women. I work with millennial women who want to thrive in life and not just survive. I'm also a speaker, an author, a chef, but I really don't do a lot of chefing except in my house. I do a lot of chefing in my house. And that's it. I keeping the family as a primary caregiver, supermarket, all those things, fun things that we have to do. And
you have a food center not so far from here.
Yeah, I love it. It's really good.
Is that intentional?
No, actually, no, it wasn't. I was very excited when I saw it. Food Center, for those who are not familiar with Doha, it's a supermarket and it has plantains, which I love.
This is a non-sponsored.
Hashtag non-sponsor,
yeah,
not an
hashtag
ad.
non-sponsored.
No, but basically, when Hatz told me about doing the podcast, first of all, I love radio. Like I said, my background is journalism, audiovisual media, particularly radio and filmmaking, and so radio is something that I always felt very comfortable with. I do talk a lot, but I actually get paid for that, and I feel that sometimes I really want to reach more people with some of the things that are going in my mind, because when I share them with friends or with clients, they do help. So my idea with the podcast was, yes, to obviously witness each other's journey and share our journeys from a different perspective, which I think is fascinating. But also it's about seeing if some of what we are going resonates with you out there. And if watching us or hearing us go through it helps you go through your own thing, because ultimately that's my goal. My goal is to be as transparent, as authentic as I can, so that in retelling my story, I help others heal theirs.
So how did this all come about? So we were talking on Instagram.
Yeah.
About just like life and sort of hardships
Yes.
that I was going through at the time.
And yeah, we were both going through some intense shit together.
Yeah, and we started talking about, just sort of getting to know each other, and I can't remember how it started, but
I think we were being very honest, we were very authentic, and I think I posted something and I reposted or reshared something and you like, I don't know, I don't remember. It was such a long time ago.
But basically, so it's like, let's get the elephant out of the room, right? So I got married in July 2017, and basically, beginning of February 2018, it just all ended for one reason or another. I think it was my decision, but I think we were sort of talking about how an experience like that can really affect you and make you ask questions about yourself. And then through that, sort of, we started talking about the podcast and sort of talking and not keeping it in, because that's one of my main criticisms from my close family and friends was you don't talk, you don't speak. And that sort of massive burden of just thinking about it yourself and not bouncing discussions off people, and ideas and feelings and thoughts, regardless of whether you're talking to a doctor or a psychologist or a friend, it's really powerful to get rid of all that, let's say, negativity or low self-esteem and all that kind of stuff. And so we started talking about it and saying, well, podcast might be a great way to share the news. Surprise, everyone. and actually getting people to see that this is not such an abnormal thing, especially for currently people in our generation, which from previous generations, it's more of a massive taboo. I struggled with the whole idea of me even coming to that sort of thought of taking that decision. And for my own sort of mental health, I thought it had to be done because it just wasn't working. So, and you're sort of in a similar sort of kind of thing, except you're more powerfully and mentally stronger than me.
So basically, when we started talking, we were talking about that pain, which pain unifies us. Like if there's one thing that we know as humans that we're going to experience in life is pain, but we're not equipped to deal with it empoweredly, especially emotional pain. And I found that it was very admirable. And if you hear some noise, that's probably one of my children just shouting, so just ignore that. That's part of authenticity.
Yeah.
But basically, I thought that your experience as a man would be also so different from mine as a woman, because women tend to have more space for pain and all that. And yet, we don't always deal with it the best way. So when we started talking...
Or we don't know how to deal with it.
Yes, exactly.
Which is why we don't deal with it the best way. Yeah.
So when we started talking, I remember it was about... And I do remember one thing that struck me from the beginning, and it's one of the topics that we're going to be covering. It was about how when we show up in relationships, waiting for the other person to feel us, to kind of like complete us, we are disappointed because we are empty inside. So the journey... To me, the journey of having a soulmate is becoming your own soulmate. Is that whole thing of I'm gonna love myself the way I want others to love me, and then it will happen. And we were talking a lot about self-love and recommitting to our needs and stuff, which also, just to be very clear, that's my job. That's kind of like what I do with my clients. But it's different when you talk about it in a social context and when you're talking about with a friend. And it's even more interesting when you talk about it with a man, because a lot of the narrative around self-love and self-care, it's linked for femmes, for either women or humans that identify as females. So it was very interesting to see the other perspective and how we're both trying our best to deal with the things that we're dealing with the tools that we have. And we wanted to share a little bit of that. So the whole idea of this is that we're going to do 10 episodes for now. We'll see. And we wanted to cover different topics.
Oh, we've got to be realistic, right? We're super busy. I mean, I did come 45 minutes late today.
True.
To be fair. But,
yeah. But I arrived, I think, 45 minutes late yesterday to our dinner. So there you go.
Yeah, that is true as well.
But anyway, so we're gonna, but we might love this and maybe we'll get like a deal for like $1 million to have a Netflix special. We don't know where this could take us.
Hey.
Trust.
So this is the coach in me now. Never say never. And if you believe in something and you persevere, you can achieve it.
So we're gonna start with 10 episodes and we'll see where it goes. And we want to talk about, he found the document that he's been looking for like 15 and a half minutes.
Technology these days.
So we're going to talk about self-love, like I said, self-worth. What else? You can read.
We want to try and go on a journey. So self-worth is the general theme of this podcast, just thinking about yourself, thinking about how your life's going, trying to talk about topics that will get you thinking about life and how things aren't as difficult. Relationships, because we both have different experiences from different angles in relationships. Love, whether that be love growing up or loving a partner or something like that. Purpose in life, failure.
Which is something that we all face and we all struggle with.
And that's not a bad thing. They always say that the most successful people in life have reached where they are because they've embraced failure. You have to embrace failure. It's not a bad thing.
And I think in our generation, failure was something like very hard because we, particularly because you're first generation born in the UK, right?
Yep.
And my dad was Argentinian, so I'm kind of like half the third culture. But my whole upbringing was all about succeed. So I don't handle failure very well. And I was never taught how to actually go through it or even put myself through it, because like I seriously believe that had I had more chances to fail growing up, I would have gone to med school and not to journalism, because I always wanted to be a doctor and I didn't think I was smart enough, that I will struggle, so I kept it very safe, which is really interesting, right? So those are the type of things I want to talk about. Like now, many years later, like 5 years later, because I'm super young,
no comment, same age.
But it's the same, right? Like, okay, the next one we're going to talk about achieving an authenticity.
Yep.
And how do we reach for our goals without selling out?
Selling out in terms of like...
compromising your values.
Your values, yeah. Exactly. Okay. Mm-hmm. Which brings us to the film that you guys told me about, which was amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about.
In another episode.
It's a very valuable, very valuable lesson.
Yeah. Self-expression.
Yeah.
Which is also linked with authenticity.
True, and knowing your boundaries, what you can and can't accept, whether it's boundaries of what you believe in, not sort of compromising your position just to fit in with other people. I think we have a lot of that where people will just do whatever they have to do just to fit in with certain circles. I don't think you have to do that if you want to be accepted in the world. And then circles of intimacy,
that's my bad.
That's your one. You added that on the thing, but
the circles of intimacy are all related to relationships. So it's basically, how do I relate to the world from how do I relate to myself? Because ultimately that's the thing. And boundaries and consent, it's all really connected, because my boundaries are gonna be basically where I develop my safe space to show up in the world. And in circles of intimacy, what we talk about is, if my inner circle, which is my relationship with myself, is toxic and is full of hatred and negativity and all that, and I don't find ways to cope with that and to cleanse that, what's going to come out to those people around me is going to be the same but worse, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
You have no idea, because even though I explained that to you in our 5-hour meeting, you forgot.
No, I haven't. Who said I forget? I've got a memory of an elephant. Yeah, I guess not gonna. Anyways, healthy living. This is very important because a healthy body and a healthy mind will allow you to conquer and manage all the things that we've just discussed. Because I truly believe when I was at my healthiest, I was at my happiest.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the challenges I faced were, I just didn't. It wasn't on the back of my mind that I had to be healthy and fit. And healthy and fit means different things to different people at different stages in their life.
Yes, agree.
Right?
100%. Yes.
So we just have to find that balance and tailor it to our lifestyle at this point in time.
What we were saying before we started doing this for reals is that I consider that this is one of the happiest that I have ever been, regardless of the deep emotional challenges that I'm going through and that I have gone through. This is perhaps, I'm not going to say the top of my life because I still have like 70 more years to go.
No, but at this point in time.
But right now, when I see all the areas of my life, I'm like the most content. Yes, there are areas that I want to put my attention in the coming months. But in general, and it is a big part of it because I'm so healthy. I am very fit, I'm healthy, I feel strong. Obviously, I feel attractive, so that all adds up. And if we go back to the circles of intimacy, if you imagine that like a ripple effect, right? So you are in the middle and then everything ripples out. If in the middle what I have right now is support and love and, and compassion, so much compassion for myself and gratitude, then what comes out is going to be the same. Whilst in my darkest moment, which maybe to the outside world, I was like on top of my game, when I was working corporate and I was engaged and I had like everything on my side and I had good money and all these things. The inner conversation was so negative that regardless of how it looked on paper, I was actually miserable. Whilst now, I still have a very good on paper situation. So people do think that, but I actually, for the first time, feel so me. And also,
whereas on my side, I'm not feeling so me.
I know, love.
Yeah, so
we'll get there.
We are getting there. So one of the things I've done is I've entered the London Triathlon in August in the hope that by setting myself a goal, I'll start doing more things to make myself, first of all, be able to do that because I'll die if I do it now. It's like,
you're gonna do the whole thing.
It's an Olympic distance. So it's 1.5 kilometers swimming, 40 kilometers cycling, and then.
So you're going with the Olympic one. You're not going
the proper Olympic one. So if I can barely run 5 kilometers now without dying, and you have to think I'm gonna have to do 10 kilometers after doing 40 kilometers of cycling, and having done 1.5 kilometers of swimming, which is extremely. I mean, it sounds like a little.
No, it's open water swimming.
But it's So in order to do that, I have to change my lifestyle and start thinking about healthy living, staying active, not sitting in front of the TV for so long, all that kind of stuff.
Also, let's just recap, and we're doing a podcast. So yeah, that sounds really fun.
You have to keep the mind engaged, and you have to keep your body engaged. And when you're in that happy place, it's true. It has a totally different effect on all the people around you.
Yeah.
Because at least you're not trying to sort of keep up appearances, as they say. Keep a stiff upper lip in the UK. Once you step out the house, if you're not happy at home and then you step out the house and you try and be all like positive, it's really draining on you, and then you come home and then you don't have the energy to fix yourself, so you keep falling into a bigger and bigger hole.
I think that one of the great sources of burnout for our generation is that we're not authentic. So when we are trying to pretend all the time that everything is fine or that we're happy even when we're not, that takes a big toll on our bodies and our minds. Like when we're constantly acting, we're constantly on. You're
constantly seeking people's approval. Yeah.
I'm sorry. My calluses are driving me crazy.
That's okay. That's all from the rowing you did the other week. Well, no, you do much more. Yeah.
Anyway, so this is it. This is us. We're gonna be keeping it real and honest about our journeys.
That's quite disgusting.
But it's not bleeding. Look, it's not bleeding.
That's fine, but it's just a bit weird.
And this is my child coming to tell us that it's time to wrap it up. Hope you guys around for a while. And yeah, there will be more of this random talk happening in the following days and weeks.
And we look forward to sharing it with you. Thank you.
Bye.